Good day, everyone. This is Mark Schmidt, Superintendent of Schools. Today is December 21st, 2010, Winter Solstice Day. The best part of today is that every day beyond now, for the next 6 months, we get more and more daylight. In this update, I will go through the board agenda and provide just a summary of what took place in the previous evening's meeting. Last night's agenda was fairly short in agenda items, but a few of the items were lengthy in time. The board always begins with their first agenda item to take action on is the consent agenda. And the consent agenda are items that do not require typically any discussion, so they are all grouped together and the board can approve them in one motion. The other next major item, and the item that took the majority of time, was the financial items for the district. And the reason why these items took as much time as they did last night is there was a budget revision 1 that took place. There was the truth and taxation component regarding our levies that was reported to the board, and the audit for the 9-10 school year was reported to and approved by the school board. Beginning with the levy information that was presented by Bob Hammond, our business manager. The levy, this is the local part that property taxes pay for, is reduced from $1.782 million to $1.745 million. That was a reduction of slightly over 2% from last year to this year. And just a reminder on that, one component of these levies is that the majority of our levies we see nothing from the state. There's no matching funds, with the exception of in 2006 when the voters approved the levy, the voter approved operating levy. The board, in agreement with that passage, foregoes slightly over $200,000 in local taxes that are not matched, and instead uses those revenues from an operating levy that is matched from the state. I know it's not very clear, but it was one of the tools for us to be able to tap into more state funds and not just depend on our local taxpayers. And those funds from that operating level continue to be used for buses, technology, school supplies, textbooks, and our general fund operating, which is for the most part hiring our teaching staff and helping us to contain our class sizes as reasonable of a level as we can. But that was the levy approved from the school board last night. The next item was to approve the budget revision 1. Budget revision 1 is something that the original budget is approved by the board in the summer of the year, and as the year goes on, there's various revisions. As we all know, just like in our personal lives, things happen. Sometimes you may get more revenue, sometimes you may have more expenses. Things happen, and we need to make adjustments as time goes on. And that is certainly needed for a district that operates on a multi-million-dollar level, such as our school district. The budget revision 1 reflected those changes, and the board approved that. The other component was to approve the audit from the district. And within that audit, we talked about our year-end closing from last year. And our year-end closing from last year shows our fund balance, the undesignated fund balance, which is portions of our budget that do not need to be earmarked for specific regulatory projects. The undesignated fund balance is going from $2.3 million to slightly over $2.7 million, and that's about 10 weeks of operating levy. And that slight growth is due to a couple of factors. One of them is stronger maintenance of our student enrollment from years past. Some of it is from our employees being wise with the use of their dollars, and some of it is from stimulus dollars that have come to the district in the last few years. Namely, we've received some added special ed funding from the state that we've used to help grow the fund balance. We've also used, maybe this last fall, people have heard of the jobs bill that Congress passed. For our district, that was about $271,000. And our intent on using these dollars and working very diligently to grow our fund balance is the main reason for us to be diligent on that is the outlook of the state budget. As everyone has heard, that the state is looking at a deficit. The latest number was $6.2 billion, I believe. And there's a lot of school districts that are holding their breath to see what comes in the next 2, 3, 4 or more years in state funding, or lack of state funding may be a better way to say it. And our district is poised to better handle that with a fund balance, and take shocks from the state without directly impacting as dramatically our students. And part of the reason for the concern is that the state has tapped a lot of the, I may say, bookkeeping tricks in the past. Some of the phrases have been kicking the can down the road. For example, they've deferred school payments. Our school right now, if you look at our audit, has an IOU from the state of slightly over $3 million in deferred payments that they haven't funded us. The state, those were some of the accounting mechanisms the state used in the past few years to help balance their budget. Many people believe that they've run out of those, and so the next few years is something that we need to be as prepared for as we can, and that's the purpose of the fund balance. And that was the audited amount for our district's fund balance. A couple other items that took place. Personnel. We have signed an agreement, or the school district has signed an agreement with Lakewood Health Systems for the services of Audrey Ruby, who will be doing some speech services for us. So we are pleased to be able to partner with Lakewood Health in another endeavor, as well as welcome Andrea to our staff. Another personnel item was the approval of Eileen Weber. Eileen is going to be replacing Linda Tappy in the high school, as Linda is retiring this winter. And we wish Linda all the best in her retirement, and we welcome Eileen to our staff. That concluded the board action items. There were a few reports, namely some committee reports that I will mention. One is a discussion on a possible personnel committee. The school board will be developing or implementing a personnel committee when they have their reorganization meeting in January. And there's a list of bullets of what the personnel committee is and is not that has been developed. But maybe the main bullets are that it's a vehicle for the board to be able to provide in a community setting, evaluating positions, whether a position is no longer needed or a position has been arisen as being a need, and namely positions that would be licensed positions. The other component of it may be in disciplinary actions with employees, actions that may get to a point of board approval. That is something that will need to be worked out in detail as time goes on. The other component for the other committee meeting was the strategic planning update. The school has been working to have as much input from people as possible. I believe we've estimated the number of somewhere between 200 and maybe 300 people that has been contacted, invited into discussion groups from various people throughout the community to ask people what the school can do to help make this a better place for our children and for people within our community. That process, the last meeting took place with a group of community members coming at the end of November. They will be, there's a steering committee of staff and community members that will be fine-tuning a presentation to the full school board at the beginning of November. The beginning of February, and from there the board will have a dialogue as far as what areas that the schools should be focusing on to better serve our children and families. And that feedback has been that will be based on feedback from people within the community. And if anyone has any ideas or suggestions, please feel free to contact myself or any board member, any school members on any suggestions. With that concluded the board meeting last night, and that concludes my report, and I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and safe travels for everyone over the Christmas break. Thank you and have a wonderful day.